Yeah, this video is about spotting and light tanks, and it's going to be mostly gameplay. Probably 10 or 15 different games, maybe 6 or 7 different maps, and you're going to see some maps north and south. And I'm going to show you first the spotting techniques that most people never play on maps that are a little bit difficult to spot on. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I know that most of you haven't seen these unless you've watched my videos. And then afterwards, I'm going to do spotting on maps at like Malinovka. Everybody knows how to spot on that map. And then we're going to do some flanking with light tanks. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the STA-1. This is a Japanese Tier 8 medium tank, and the map is Serene Coast. You're going to see a spotting position that I use on this map. I almost never see anybody use this. But basically, you drive through here. This is a great spotting position, too. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of bushes over here, and there's a house. So we've got 2 or 3 bushes in front of me. I usually roll into the bush. There's a house to the right of me. They usually don't spot you back. You know, I shoot at them. So there's a house right over here and a bush over here. If you want good protection, you can sit in that bush next to that house, and all you got to do is back up. But if you get spotted, head for that house. So you'll see that from here I was able to spot 4 enemy tanks: Centurion, AMX 5100, the M103, and the Maushan. And I'm able to take shots at them. I believe I took shots at the Maushan. I did 237 damage, and I was not spotted back. We got more tanks coming across, the Type 4 Heavy and the IS-3. Now, most people like to spot from where this rock is. But you'll see that from the position that I'm in, I'm closer to the enemy, so I can spot more tanks. I can defeat their camo a little bit easier, and you can spot here in lower tiers if your spotting range is not as good. This is a more advanced position for spotting, and if you want, you can move forward a little bit more. Just so you know, the bush next to me is one of those bushes that's transparent when you roll into it. It's not one of the ones where you see your outline. If you roll into this bush, the whole bush disappears. So you can move a little bit more forward if you take that bush. You can take shots. I did 683 damage from this position and 136 spotting damage. The problem with spotting on this map is that your allies do not set up sniping positions. Occasionally, you'll get someone by that rock, but it's not every game. So this is one of the spotting positions on this map. The other way I spot is I spot by running along the rail. And there is a southern spotting position, which is basically probably that bush right there. Oh, no. Right over there where that house is. Okay, so that house with the orange roof is the southern spotting position, which is also very secure. If you get spotted, you just hide behind that house. It's that house and the bush right there. Okay, so they did hit me. You do have to be careful, because if the enemy controls up on that ridge, I have received incoming fire from that T-34 is all the way in the distance. I have received crossfire from there, so you do got to be careful if the enemy advances really deep. The score is 6-2. I've got 900 spotting damage already. Aw, so sorry. Okay, now when you advance from this position, you see there's an M103. You want to keep him spotted. Oh, 2 tanks, not good. You don't want to get hit by a Type 4 Heavy. But I'm going to drive in such a way, I'm checking that building behind me, making sure that the building is between me and those 2 tanks as much as possible so they can't fire at me. Get in line with that building, line up that building, so that now that building is between me and them, which increases the difficulty of them shooting at me. And I recheck, so I checked 4 times, making sure that they've got buildings between me and them, they can't shoot at me. That's how you escape. But that is not the route you normally take after spotting. After you spot, you drive along the water. If you watch my videos, you're going to see games where I play from the north and I advance to the south and flank the enemy. If you watch my earlier videos, you're going to see that. So you see this Type 4 Heavy. He took a lot of damage really fast. The score is 11-2. I got 1,600 damage. Only if I may have incorrectly stated damage and spotting damage earlier. I got 1,600 damage, 248 spotting damage. But that's the position. You want to have snipers rush with you. You want to hit that turret perpendicular. I nailed him perfectly. Score is 12-2. When you approach the enemy, in this case, you want to go around their flank. You don't want to go where your allies are going. You want to go where the T-54 and I do. The enemy will have his gun pointed in the other direction, and chances are we'll be able to hit his rear armor. And obviously go for the ram. And that's the game, 1,800 damage. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a Tiger II. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank, and the map is Serene Coast. You'll notice in the chat the ARL V39 made numerous requests for someone to spot for him. Luckily, I'm on his team because I like to spot on this map. And you're going to see the spotting location I use on this map, and hopefully he'll be able to get some sniping in. From the location that I'm going to spot from, you can see the enemy tanks heading towards the peninsula. So basically, you head to the house over here, and there's a bush right in front of me next to the house. There's a couple of them. I was spotted along the way. But you can see I'm spotting those tanks on the other side of the bridge as they head to the peninsula from this bush next to the house. And you can take shots at them. And it's safe because you got this strong house next to you. I did not get any spotting damage, so unfortunately, the ARL was not able to take advantage of my spotting. I did see this M46, and I wanted to go after him. You always help out your allies. If you can keep an ally in the game, help your ally out. Now, normally I don't advance this way. Normally I advance along the water, and the reason why is because you want to stay in the middle of the map because you're going to have the fewest number of enemy tanks in the middle of the map. You're going to be the furthest from the spotting ranges of tanks at the edges, and if you're in the water, you're going to be really low. The lowest part of the map is in the water. So obviously I didn't go into the water. I'm a little bit concerned about this T-29. An unspotted tank is shooting at me. Even though he got some shots in, I don't think it's going to pay off for him in the long run. So you see I'm getting behind solid cover. You want to keep your strong turret pointed towards incoming fire. I don't want my turret in the wrong direction. You see there's still incoming fire. And I don't know where it is, don't know where the threat is, if it's in front of me, to the right of me, or to the left of me. Obviously, I believe the threats are to the right. I need to repair my ammo rack. And I want to become unspotted. I don't know if I'm spotted or not. One thing I could have done was gotten beside the AMX, protected his side armor. This is an example of using the water to be low. Being low reduces the chance that you get spotted. Got some nice solid houses to hide behind. If the enemy is in front of you and they start shooting at you, you just get under the water and hope you don't get tracked. Because obviously you don't want to drown. So I'm heading to this position. The score is 8-6. Didn't get any spotting damage, but the spotting location works. So that IKV that was sniping at me, he just got spotted. Now his days are numbered. And he wasn't where I expected him to be. I thought he was on the peninsula where the house is, but he isn't. He's further back. He needs to be respotted, turning my frontal armor towards the enemy threat. Notice that angle. Yeah, if he got hit, it would have been night-night. Good night, Irene. Okay, so I'm going to sit out for a moment, hide behind this rock. You got to look at that mini-map, see where the enemy threat is. I got a little position where I can hide, angle my armor so that if he fires at me, it's probably going to deflect. Trying to increase the chance of a ricochet, but you don't want him to hit your track. But the angle is the wrong angle. My gun should be more over the corner. It's an improper angle for shooting at that tank. Score is 9-8. We're starting to kind of close in on them. They're not in a good position. You'll notice that I'm firing high explosive rounds. He's side scraping. All I need to do is see a little hair, a little sliver of his tank, and that high explosive round is going to damage his tank. Very important. All you got to do is see a little sliver, and if you're against an equal tank, IS-6 versus IS-6, going around the corner, that was an HE round. He's not a strong tank. HE round will easily kill the IKV. And the Jackson. I can do damage against the Jackson with the HE round that I have loaded. And I can do more damage than with the APCR. I'm setting up a side scrape position. Hull down. Don't know where that tank is. I noticed that the Jackson was taken out of the game. And because of that, I decided to advance. You see that? That's not a safe position. I did 131 damage. I can hit him almost anywhere, and I'm going to do that damage, and he's out of the game. Scores 13-9, got 2 kills, 1,900 damage. Side scrapers fail against high explosive rounds, unless you got a severe tier mismatch. That's why a third of my rounds on almost every tank is high explosive rounds. And if they're side scraping, you can track them. They can't fire back at you, and you just whittle them down. Now that high explosive round easily will damage. Not going to ricochet. 500 damage I did with a high explosive round. He did not like it, and he rolled away from me. All I got to do is hit a little sliver, HE round, he's out of the game. Anything other than that could have ricocheted. That tank should have used an AP round because he's got that vulnerable. It's Binox is what it is up on top, and easy to hit with an AP round. Very vulnerable for him. I did 2,800 damage. 581 spotting, 1580 blocked by armor. Earlier in the game, you saw me taking a lot of incoming fire. Okay, so that's the game. Shows you that spotting position. You need to have, you get a shot in here or there. Let's move on to the next video. Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Fisherman's Bay. This is one of my absolute favorite tanks in the game. I like the 1357 GF. I like this tank. I like the Crusader and the Covenanter. I loved those tanks when I was lower tier. I am looking forward to playing the 13105. A tree fell down in front of me. This is a typical place that I go to spot at the beginning of the game on Fisherman's Bay when I play from the north. So you start by doing passive spotting at this location. You're not going to get a lot of damage because the enemy rarely gets to a position where they can be hit. They're going to show their turrets, etc. They're not going to go over that ridge in front of you. So it's difficult to get spotting damage, and your allies won't be set up. Once my allies are set up, and the enemy I don't think is directly in front of me, I'm going to go and do some active scouting to locate them. Got up to 900 spotting damage, scores 1-0. Okay, so now to actively spot, what you're going to do is you're going to ride up along these ridges. If you spot a tank, you come back down. So you head for these ridges, get up over the ridge. If you spot anything, you come back down. And you do circles. Keep moving. I was spotted, so I have to be in a position where they can't hit me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive around, but stay relatively close to them. So I can still spot them, but they can't hit me. Because if they want to hit me, they have to drive forward, and my allies are going to snipe at them. Look at all those tanks back there, and look at all the spotting damage that I'm doing. If you watch my previous videos, you'll see this technique on other videos when I play on Fisherman's Bay from the north. 1,700 spotting damage. Sometimes I'll take a shot. What I'm doing is I'm constantly trying to lock somebody with the auto-aim. And I'm going to watch that green triangle, and if I see it turn green, I'm going to take a shot. And you see the CDC came in. CDC went way too far ahead. He shouldn't have done what he did. I would not play that way. So I'm a little bit worried about the defender. The defender can screw up my game because he's going to take attention away from my team. And the question is, can I set up a position where I can hit the defender, but nobody behind can hit me? Is it possible? Depends on how you play the game. I am a little bit vulnerable. I'm surprised I didn't take any incoming fire from behind. But the defender was a threat. That was poor driving. I didn't want to go there. Poor driving can screw you up. I should have gone the other way. His gun was pointed eastward. I should have gone around to the red line so to avoid gunfire. But I am reloading, so it wouldn't have mattered because I wouldn't have been able to shoot back at him. But he's now one shot. He's got very little hit points left. I've only got 2 tanks backing me up. They're both Scorpions, excellent tank destroyers. But are they enough to keep me in the game? I got 2,000 spotting damage. We got a T-95. He's not a threat. He's a slow-moving tank. Chances are when you're up against a T-95, he's probably not pointing his gun at you. They got a Scorpion. That's a threat. T-49, stay far away from it, and you're better off. They've got a lot of their tanks. They got 3 more tanks, that IS-3 and 2 others, that are in a position that could be a threat to me. Lucky I got out of there. The WZ is coming after me. I was lucky shot on that defender. Now you can see that from the position that I'm in. I guess we got to wait a second here. Big Daddy. Okay, now from this position I was in, I didn't see the T-95. I looked over there. I did not see the T-95. I don't know. Perhaps we should rewind this video. I remember playing this game and not seeing the T-95. Now, the question is, was it because my mini-map covered the T-95, or was there another reason why? I'm going to do the free camera. So the T-95 is right there. There he is. So the way I was playing, I did not see the T-95, and it allowed him to kill me. So that was a mistake that I made. I should have obviously been watching the mini-map. I would have seen that the T-95 was spotted next to me. Poor situational awareness. Scores 5-7. I did 2,600 spotting damage, but it shows you the technique of driving around along that ridge and spotting those tanks. I've had lots of successful games, and you don't have to do it with a fast light tank. You can do it with lots of tanks. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX-30. This is a French Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Steppes. You know, amazing, I played 3 games in this tank, and all of them were on the map Steppes. Now, between this tank and the Leopard prototype, they're very similar. I prefer this tank. I don't like playing the Leopard prototype. Now, from this position, you can spot a lot of tanks just by crossing over that line. And note that I wasn't spotted until, obviously, I fired my gun. But I spotted a lot of tanks, already got some spotting damage in. And I'm approaching. You want to, you can still keep on going around this point. But because that Scorpion was spotted and he was in a shooting position, I am being a little cautious. You can see that I pulled into this spotting position. They did not spot me. And I've got a great support from snipers behind me. Plus I got an E-75 coming behind me. that I would absolutely take a shot at. You take that shot because even if I get spotted, which I was not spotted, I'm in a safe position. I can just back up and hide. Now, obviously, you want to let your allies take shots at that guy. And I already got 1,000 damage. Just from him going up there, he went from full health down to 68. And the AMX also took some damage. But I believe someone else... Oh, the AMX is off in the distance. I'm not spotting him. So the playing field has changed a little bit. We've got one sniper in the background. Oh, so sorry. So he's out of the game. Only got one sniper backing me up. You can't know if the snipers are supporting you. So what I do is I spot and I check to see if incoming shots come in. And if they do, then I accept that as being support. I wait for the shots to come in. You can see that we've advanced up the middle. The score is 3-0. It makes it easy for me to flank. I could flank either side if I wanted to. The smart thing to do is to go after the SPG. The SPG is going to be very vulnerable. The M41 is in a striking position right now. Not going to be able to damage that tank with AP rounds. You want to use the high explosive rounds. They're chasing after the M41, so I'm going to fall back. The E75 is coming around. This is, my strategy is spotting, not engaging the enemy like with the M41. I don't know what the M41 was thinking. He should not have stayed there that long. Notice how I turn my tank to keep that strong armor pointed towards the enemy, and it turns the gun faster, and it makes it a little bit more accurate. Got a good shot on that tank. E75, glad he's here, but he doesn't need me to spot. And the E75 did kill that M41 Bulldog. I did get 1397 spotting damage, 1100 damage off of my gun. And I have half my health. So that guy is going to obviously take some damage. I like the gun on this tank. Like I said, the Leopard Prototype A, it's one of those tanks where stock, it sucks. Once you get the good gun, the penetration goes up by like 90. It goes up from like 220 to 310 or some crazy amount. And I just got the good gun. So I've been playing lots of games with the weaker gun. And now that I got the good gun on the Leopard Prototype, I might change my mind about how good it is, but so far I do like this AMX 30. So you can see that I want to get that SPG out of the game. Heading in the direction that I think he's in. The SPG, if he's smart, he should have hightailed it out of there. Got a good shot on that tank. 2200 damage. The SPG should not sit back there. It's only a matter of time before someone comes looking for him. So if he's there, the chance that he dies is very high, and he is there. You're going to go for the shoot and ram. Shoot and ram. You don't want to ram with your tracks. You want to ram with your frontal armor. If you ram with your tracks, you're going to do less damage, and you might track yourself. Got 2,600 spotting damage. No, I'm sorry. 2,600 damage. 1,700 spotting damage. The score is 12-4. The enemy is probably going to take out our Waffenträger. So we have to maneuver to surround the enemy. But what's important about the way that I play is that I always make sure that we get flanking in the game. So what's going to happen is, it looks like we're capping. If my allies are coming around from one way, I'm going to come around from the other way. I'm going to hit the enemy from behind and when their gun's pointed away from me. And that's how I get better games, and that's how I turn the tide and turn their guns away from me. And that's the game. 2,200 spot damage. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX-30. This is a French Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Steppes. I'm going to get 2,000 spotting damage, and you know, I played this tank 3 times, got Steppes 3 times. Every game I did over 2,000 spotting damage. So you can see I'm taking the standard. This is from the north. The other 2 games are from the south. But you head to this position. Normally, I would go straight across and try to spot their base, but because the TVP was already there, good chance I was being spotted. This tank goes 65, but I guess it doesn't accelerate fast enough. I don't have the fuel consumable on this tank. I have the fuel or oil consumable on almost every tank in the game. The reason why is because I like the extra engine power, the acceleration, etc. So it's going to be a little bit slow. I didn't like the fact that that TVP was there. And I have a high ping time. If you look at my ping time, it's currently at 355. And the reason why the game is sitting here right now is because I probably went to my desktop to check. I just came back from the desktop. I went to the desktop to check to figure out why I had a high ping time, and I corrected the problem. It's still a little high. It's over 200. So what I do is I approach this rock over here. That's probably why, see now my ping time is 390. I'm going to have problems with latency, and that's probably why I didn't get a good spotting run in the beginning of the game. So what I do is I knock this tree down. Wasn't a good knockdown, but I use that position to spot tanks that are immediately in front of me. And I got 748 spotting damage for that bat chat off there in the distance. Look how far in the backfield he was. He is further back than almost every tank in his team, and he took that much spotting damage. Now, from here, if I have the problem with the latency, so I'm going to have a slow response. When you push the button to fire, there's a 1-second delay before the bullet comes out of the gun, you know, things like that. You're going to have those problems. So I'm a little bit timid about advancing in this game. But normally I would continue advancing, especially since I know that it looks like they only have 1 tank on the west side. We could easily flank this team. This is obviously a side scrapes type of maneuver, reversing. The TVP is a dangerous tank. He hit the roof of my tank, apparently. I was able to do damage to him, and he did damage to me. That's a beautiful tank to spot. Let's see if we can get any damage on that grill. Oh, I might not have been the one that spotted it. Someone else may have spotted it. But he was not in a safe position. A lot of tanks, you know, when you are in a position that you can hit in all directions, people in all directions can hit you. So now you can see, if you look at the mini-map, we really have the enemy surrounded in the west. This bat chat is just going to go nowhere. And even though I have this horrible latency, horrible ping time, I still managed to get 1,700 spotting damage and 860 damage. Because I have the problem with the latency, I'm probably going to be a little bit more conservative than my normal gameplay. So you're not going to, oh, they got that kill. You're not going to see the really aggressive gameplay when I have these latency problems. And you know, for me to play with 140 latency is the ping time right now, that to me is a typical game. And this is better than it's been over the past 2 or 3 years. Okay, so the score is 9-4. We've got the enemy up in the corner. Now, the enemy is very easy to flank. In this type of a situation, you want to always take up a flanking position. My allies are not heading in a position to counter the enemy. You know, we're coming up from the south, but the north, they're withdrawing, which is not helping us. That means that when we approach from the south, the enemy is going to turn its guns towards us. We really need that T-57 Heavy and the other tanks, the AMX 5100, to take up positions to confuse the enemy. I'm still staying back because I do have the latency problems. When you have this horrible latency, the gun will fire on a 1-second delay, and the enemy tank will move. You know, it's just horrible. So I am being a little bit more cautious. And that's not a tank that I can really engage. A lousy shot. You can't engage that type of a tank head on. You notice he did not spot me, so either I was already spotted or I was beyond his spotting range. Now with this type of a situation, T69, shoot and ram. Get that auto aim as quickly as possible and go for that ram. I did 368 ramming damage, 238 damage with the gun, so I did 50% more damage ramming him than by shooting him. Okay, so that's the game. I did 1,200 damage and 2,100 spotting damage. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX-30. This is a French Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Steppes. I am going to get 2,600 spotting damage. I'm going to play in the middle. Game's going to be a tough game for us. But this is a standard maneuver. Just head straight for enemy territory. Once you cross these bushes, you're going to spot a lot of tanks, like that FV215B. See, the enemy already left the base. Enemy already left that base. I don't know how many tanks I spotted, but I'm guessing there was 4, 5, 6 tanks. Head for this rock. This location right here, you're safe. So you're going to stay by this rock. No artillery in the game. Keep an eye out on who the threats are. Don't engage them. I haven't taken any damage. Do not engage them in battle. You've got snipers in the background, the RU-251, the ROM. Don't really have good snipers behind me, so I really got to be careful. That AT-15, he could have a rapid-fire gun, and I don't want to have this sort of thing happen. I have gotten 800 spotting damage. There's a lot of tanks in front of me. I do not have enough backing me up. Now that AT-15, he's showing me his side armor. His gun is pointed away. I'm going to take shots at him. Try and track him. Try and track him so that my allies can keep on hitting him. I'm up to 1,500 spotting damage. And he's out of the game. That's 1,800 spotting damage. This is, again, the position. You stay by this rock. That STRV is low on hit points. Someone's going to take him out. Keep him spotted. He's out of the game. And I got 500 for that. Someone hit that T-26E5, who I believe may have taken a shot at me. Now, from here, if there's enemy tanks on this ridge, you're going to head that way and stay below that rock. If you've got snipers defending you, they cannot come out and get you without taking hits from your snipers. If the enemy is this way, you go around, stay flat over here, and be careful. If they come down, you just go back this way and get behind that rock right there. If they don't, you kind of work your way around and keep them spotted. And also over here, you can go around that way. Anytime you're in trouble, you head for that rock and you get behind that rock. Score is 2 to 3. I got 2,400 spotting damage. So you'll notice that there seems to be nobody to my right. I've only got tanks like the Scorpion to the left of my tank, which is on the west side that I need to worry about. And I knew that they were coming after me, so I'm backing up to the safe position because I don't know what that ROM Panzer is going to do. So I'm hoping that my ally is going to do some damage to him. He took a shot at me, missed. My allies did not do any damage to him. Unfortunately, the enemy has won on the east side, and they're going to start advancing. So in a short amount of time, the enemy team is going to be able to take shots at me, and I can't have that. Now you can see I'm losing my snipers in the back behind me. I don't have a safe position to retreat to. The Leopard is coming after me. Between this and the Leopard, I prefer this tank. Not so happy with the Leopard. But I guess I might be unaware that the Leopard is heading in my direction. Now notice that as he's coming around me, I'm turning my tank to make sure that my gun spins around fast and to keep my stronger armor. You rotate your tank so that the gun turret rotates faster, and you keep your stronger armor pointed towards the enemy. But I can't go up against these three tanks. These three tanks surrounded me. They took out my snipers. Look at what's happening. It's 4-8, and they're pushing my team to that side of the map. So I did 2,600 spotting damage, which is equivalent to about 2 tanks full health. And this was not a game that had a lot of snipers supporting me, as you can see on the mini-map. And the snipers that were there, I believe they were light tanks. They weren't strong. They weren't big guns. So that's what happened. The big guns were on the west side. I didn't have their support. And I got 1,500 damage, 2,600 spotting damage, and that's that game. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the RU-251. This is a German Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Steppes. This is an awesome tank. It's one of my favorite tanks in the game. I really liked it when it was faster. I hate the fact that they reduced the speed. The problem with reducing the speed is it makes me no longer want to play the tank. So you notice that what I did was I drove straight across the center, spotted tons of tanks, and I really would have not been spotted if it weren't for that CDC. Got to line up my tank for a defensive position. You don't want anybody to shoot at me. The 1390's taking shots at me. The CDC's taking shots at me. Very risky. My allies are not helping me out here. So I did something very unusual that I rarely do. I ran, and I'm zigzagging, watching them to see if how I can line myself up. There I see that I'm safe. I got 6 hit points left. So what happened was I went forward. I got some spotting damage. It's now up to 749. But when all that battle was going on, they only had taken 1 hit. And there were 2 against 1. I wasn't getting enough support to suppress the enemy. They took out one of my snipers, so I decided to hightail it out of there. I never do that, and I survived. You notice I'm keeping my frontal armor facing the enemy, so he's got to penetrate my strongest armor. And I've got that 6 hit points. When you got 6 hit points, you got to play less aggressively. I'm like, see that bush? You roll into that bush to see if you can spot those tanks. Being very cautious because I know I could lose my tank really fast. We're double bushed. I can shoot at that guy because there's a tree in the way. Less likely for him to spot at me. Luckily, the T-34 advanced, wait for that T-34 to take out that CDC. Don't do anything stupid. No artillery in the game. You always want to check to see if there's artillery in the game. I'm going to wait for that CDC to be taken out. I'm surprised the T-34 hasn't already taken him out. But I'm sure that CDC, he's no match. Looks like I don't see any incoming fire from the enemy. There's a Scorpion G in the distance. It's not enough to back up that CDC. Very good gun. He probably did damage that T-34, but one tank is not. Oh, that T-34 is out of the game. Okay, so there's a T-110E4 who took him out, and the T-110E4 was just there on the west side, and he became unspotted. So now I got to play a different strategy. I only got 6 hit points, and I'm alerting my team that a flank is about to fall. I'm going to take some sniping shots, do whatever I can to protect that flank. That tank is almost out of the game. In fact, he now is out of the game. So that tank that I hit, the E-75, is now dead. Missed that shot. Could have had a damaging shot on that Jagdpanzer. I think I remember now what's going to happen this game. You notice I loaded my high explosive rounds. You're going to throw high explosive rounds at that tank. Very careful. You got to watch that gun. Is he aiming at me or not? I don't know. So considering that there's no other tanks in front of me, my HE rounds are not damaging. The failure that I made is I wasn't aware that that IS-7 had climbed up into a position where he could hit me. I thought he was going around on the lower area, and I thought, oh, for sure, I won't get hit. That's the danger of using the sniper mode. I always use auto aim because I like to see what's going on. And if I had been using the auto aim, obviously I'm not going to damage that tank. But I would have seen the IS-7 right there, and I would have known not to go forward. When you're in the sniper mode, you got to watch out because you're looking at a distant tank through the scope, and someone is in a position to hit you. And looking at that mini-map, when you're using the sniper mode, you got to watch the mini-map. Because on the mini-map, you can see that the IS-7 is not where I expected him to go. I thought he was going around and behind. And that's why he was able to get me. I did 1,400 damage, and I did 700 spotting damage. I wanted to show you this replay because I wanted to show you how I retreated when I was, those two tanks looked like they were going to kill me, and I decided to retreat, and I survived. So don't fight to the death. If you think there's a chance you could make a shot at retreating, give it a shot. It worked out for me in this game. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a T-54 lightweight. This is a Russian Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Murovanka. I am going to get 3 kills in this game. I'm going to do 2,200 damage and 3,900 spotting damage. So you can see I'm heading up the middle because from the middle of the map, look at my spotting circle. It looks all over the place, and it's all in a point where an enemy tank might exist. So you can see I spotted the T-49 and 2 other tanks. And once I got spotted, I'm heading back, but I'm keeping buildings. I'm trying to stay close to buildings and trying to confuse the enemy by switching which buildings are blocking me, going through the densest portion of buildings. But I'm only going to go back so far, and I'm going to turn around and go back in for another spotting run. I did 131 spotting damage. Now, I really don't like this tank. I've got 130 ping time, and perhaps it's because of my ping time. I don't like the maneuverability when I play. It just, these Russian tanks go all over the place for me, and I hate it. These are very popular tanks. That was a spotting run to see if I can spot what was off there in the distance. Now that Scorpion, I'm going to ram that. He's too small of a tank, easy to ram. You know, now I always say shoot and ram. I was able to kill him before I reloaded. So that shows you the value. He's too light of a tank to defend against a ram. And to be honest, I would ram the Ferdinand from the right angle. The FV-4202, you're not going to ram with this tank. I would ram the Crusader, and I would absolutely ram the Udas. There's a lot of tanks in this game that you can ram. So I'm going to be aggressive until I start taking damage. When I start taking damage, if I become a one-shot, meaning I have, let's say, only 200 damage left, I'm going to fall back. This FV-4202 is not playing very well. That was not a wise move on his part. If I have taken too much damage, I'm going to fall behind friendly lines and snipe from the distance. But it's too early in this game for that to happen. So you can see he's low on hit points, so I pursued him until he was dead. Now you'll notice that there's a T-49, so I'm watching for him, and I'm going to line the buildings so that the buildings are between me and him so he can't shoot at me. This is obviously, going up here means I'm going to spot. You can see I took a shot at that guy. I'm still trying to spot. This was, I'm working on a mission to spot SPGs. Won't be able to complete it on this particular map. So you'll see we have a good amount of the enemy team spotted, and the enemy did win on the west side. I do have to wait for the crew to finish being stunned. I do not have a first aid kit because I carry the fuel oil consumable and the food consumable. The fuel to give myself more power, and the food to extend my spotting range. The method that I use to spot is basically to just drive in circles on the upper level, so you can spot in all directions, which is necessary. This Comet is low on hit points, so I'm going to go after him. I could have gone for a ram. I don't know why I didn't. But line up to get that kill shot in. Perhaps I missed. I missed, and that was unfortunate. I just barely missed. I should have gotten that shot. So I was able to line it up with the auto aim, and I luckily got the kill on that Comet. That's 2 kills, 1,600 damage, 2,000 spotting damage. Now I'm a one-shot, so now I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to hide in the background. You know, I'm not going to hide completely, but I'm going to play more of the way you see beginner spotters play. Stay away from the enemy. Don't be in a position where the enemy can shoot at me. Still going to spot for my team. I'm going to look for that Udis. Not going to give that Ferdinand a chance to shoot at me. There's the Udis. Do the handbrake turn. My allies right there. Unfortunately, I got in my allies' way. That was a huge mistake. But run. Don't take a chance with getting hit by him or by the artillery. The artillery just has to breathe on me, and I could die. Got it. He's at a difficult angle. It's a 2-on-1 situation. He's an easy kill. Head for that red line. Stay low. Got a spot for my team. Bad position. Keep on moving. Don't let that Ferdinand hit me. Do the handbrake turn. He's out of the game. Look for a spotting bush. There's danger in front of me. Line up a shot. Only fire. There's bushes in between us, so he's not going to spot me. The Crusader got a lucky shot on me. Stay low. Look for bushes. Come up where there's a bush. If there's no bush, cross your fingers. Stay low. Stay on the red line. Staying on the red line keeps you far away from the enemy, which increases the chance that you're going to be hidden. Use that handbrake turn. As you'll hear me say in other games, when Artie wants to kill you, they will follow you and they will try to kill you. He saw me as an easy target. He took, I don't know, it must have been 5 shots at me in a row or something like that. But he took many shots at me. He was following where I was going. That's why he was able to take me out. The score is 13-7. I'm sure we're going to win this game. Did 2,200 damage. 3,900 spotting damage. This is not passive spotting. This is active spotting. And that's a good amount of spotting for this particular map. Okay, let's move on to the next video. Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the M46 Patton. This is an American Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Live Oaks. I am going to get 3,000 spotting damage in this game. I like these tanks. It's one of my first premium tanks was the Super Pershing T26E4, and I like all the tanks that are based on it, like the KR Ripper, the Korea Ripper. I believe it's M46 Korea Ripper, maybe, or M26. I don't know. But I like this style of tank because they're fast, they're maneuverable. And the guns seem to do pretty well for me. They're not high-penetrating guns. I like the maneuverability. Really good maneuverability. So you can see I've taken a lot of damage, but I've already done 1,400 spotting damage in this game. And this is not where you want to be spotting. You really want to be next to one of the houses. You know, one of these bushes, like in those bushes over there next to that house. But because of the situation, the circumstances, I am advancing on the enemy team. I've got a sniper, an Udes in the back, and a T-54 lightweight is coming with me. You want to spot anyone that they have over here, like the T-32. You know, they're out there in the open. The T-34 over there. Keep them busy. My team is entering the town. Don't get in the crossfire. Don't get in the crossfire, but keep the enemy busy. The T-32 is starting to approach my direction. And we've got this Lorraine over here that might be about to do something stupid. I don't know. You see the Lorraine lost all of his hit points. I got 1,600 spotting damage. I went for the kill, and I took 330 damage to get that kill. My angle is not good. I corrected the angle, and I'm zigzagging. But I still have a good angle. You know, you want to keep the gun over the corner of your tank. I'm now a one-shot, which means I have to do whatever it takes to stay alive. Stay alive is now a priority. Let my allies snipe that guy. That was an APCR round. I got 3,000 spotting damage. The score is 4-1. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the A-44. This is a Russian Tier 7 medium tank, and the map is Malinovka. I am going to get 4,300 spotting damage on this map. I absolutely hate these tanks. You have to have a fire extinguisher. You should get the preventative maintenance for the driver. Get firefighting on your crew because they can catch on fire easily. I wanted to do some spotting. I tried to take up that spotting position, but I was spotted. Very unusual. I decide if I'm going to do spotting based on my spotting range. You can see that my spotting range is at the white circle, and therefore I assumed I would get some good spotting damage, which I will get in this game. This is also a low-profile tank, which means that I can sit here, and because of the slope of the land, it's difficult for the enemy to hit me in this position, unless they take really good positions. Once you become unspotted, they're going to have to find me first. These tanks, they have poor forward gun depression. I don't like playing them. I think I sold this tank last weekend. And to be honest, I don't like the tanks that come after it either. The tier 8, 9, and 10 after this tank I really am not happy with. And I think I'm not going to pursue this branch on the tech tree. I did take some damage. That means that there is a spotter somewhere who is going to keep spotting me. So I can't advance. To advance here is unwise. I did already get 971 spotting damage. You'll notice that that tank rolled backwards, the STRV-74. When they roll backwards, they cannot spot because they have obviously a hill in front of them. So that is a cue. If you're looking for a reason to advance and take in a spotting position, and you think that he might be the one spotting you, and you see him roll back, that's your cue to go in and try and take a risky shot at a spotting position. Now, this is a position a lot of people don't like to play once the game has started. I don't mind playing here. You'll notice I still am spotting tanks. I spotted another enemy tank. But because of my gun depression, there's really little I can do except for hope for spotting. Got 1,800 spotting damage. And 4,800 spotting damage, 4,300 that I'm going to get in this game, is the total hit points for 4 tanks. So I'm going to be responsible for the death of 4 tanks, you could say, total hit points. That VK which I spotted is already down to 274. And now we got another tank that I just spotted. All I got to do is roll back. Once I get back to a certain point, really difficult for them to hit me, but keep your turret in the direction of incoming fire because you want your strong frontal armor from the turret. You want any incoming fire to hit the front of your turret, not the side. So this is a position that I moved to. You got to be wary of the enemy SPGs. It looks like I decided to continue spotting. Scores 2-5. We have a lot of tanks at base. We're really not doing that well in terms of advancing on the hill. And you'll notice that the AMX CDC is doing an excellent job. That's absolutely what I would be doing, spotting up on those hills. The mistake that the CDC is making that he can't know, he doesn't know that there's only 2 of my tanks there, the T-29 and the ONI. So he can do that run over and over and over again. It's not going to be that fruitful for him. You'll notice that the VK took a very advanced position. We got to get rid of him. I got 2,900 spotting damage. You'll notice a lot of strange gun movements on my tank. The reason why is because I was having a lot of problems with latency and ping. The reason why I'm only spotting in this game is because I have a lot of latency and ping problems for this game, and so driving and firing was not reasonable. Sitting in one place and spotting made sense for this particular game. If he stops, you fire. Okay, so the score is a little bit more even now. It's 6-7. I got 3,000 spotting damage. That STRV, you don't want that tank over there. He's going to be trouble because he can snipe at the T-29 and the Oni. You don't want that tank there. See, what the Panther did there was he reversed and he made himself a little bit more vulnerable. Happy for me. So he finally took the right maneuver, which is to go away from me as opposed to laterally. The score is 7-7. I still have 3,000 spotting damage. Looks like I didn't do any damage with my gun, and perhaps I only fired 3 shots. Okay, so that usually if a tank, for example, that Tiger P at their base, he was still being spotted by me. I just got 57 spotting damage. Usually I just sit there and wait until he's dead. As long as you're spotting the guy, let your allies keep on working on him. If you're spotting somebody, let your allies keep on working on him. Stupid move by the STRV. He didn't realize what a dumb move he was making. Now at this point I realized that the ROM was still at his base. I believe I'm going to notify my allies to be wary that the ROM is still at the base because he hasn't been spotted yet in the game. So I repaired my loader. Loader is a very crucial crew member. You always want him in good health. Ideally, you want to wait for him to fire and then go in. You see that the gun depression, I'm not used to driving this tank. You want to go for the level, flat surface. And I'm just as happy just baiting him. Just letting him go back and forth to get him to try and take a shot at me and allow my allies to kill him. That's 3,100 spotting damage. I was working on a mission to set an enemy tank on fire, but it wasn't reasonable to do it in this game. Now that I have a good idea, I know that there's a Panther, the IS-2, the Tiger. Once you got 9 kills in the game, you can pretty much go across that open field, especially in the lower tiers. Lower tiers, if there's 9 kills, just go across the field. You no longer have to worry. The enemy's not going to be able to defend anymore. So the Panther is the only tank I got to worry about. Once that Panther is out of the game, I'm going to go like crazy and spot the enemy team. I'm going to go anywhere on their territory that I want to. This is a dangerous position. The Panther's out of the game. Now, I know where the Tiger P is. I can advance and he won't be able to shoot at me because of the hills on the land. He's going to stay near those buildings. I'm going to stay as close to the slope as possible. If you go into the open area, it increases the chance he can hit you. Spotted that ROM that I knew was at the base. But you don't want to sit there because there is an enemy SPG who could easily take me out. Oh, he might not have spotted me. I don't believe my sixth sense went off. So I'm just going to sit here and take advantage of the spotting. When he becomes unspotted, you want to spot him again because you want your allies to take those shots at him again. I do have 4,000 spotting damage. Okay, so we've got that Tiger P. Don't want to be spotted. I want to avoid being spotted because I need to stay in the game. Let my allies take out as many tanks. That was very risky for me to advance like that because the Tiger could have killed me. And I should have done a maneuver to avoid artillery. The ROM was taken out of the game. Now, someone is saying that the SPG and the IS-2, the final 2 tanks in the game, are up on the hill. There's 4,300 damage left in the game. I'm sorry, I did 4,300 spotting damage. I'm probably not going to get any more spotting damage. He's out of the game. Now the IS-2. Now there's a special tactic. You don't want to go in one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the red line. and I'm going to slowly maneuver to figure out a way to spot that IS-2. And I believe, see, I'm telling my allies, wait for everyone to get into position. Everyone has to be within shooting range, and I believe the IS-2 is going to be spotted by the Scorpion. And I believe that the enemy IS-2 is going to play a little stupid in this game. But you really want to wait for all of your allies to get into position, and don't take a chance at engaging the enemy. Wait for those allies to catch up. I know that that T-29 is within my firing range, which means he cannot hit that IS-2 from where he is. The T-29 has to advance further. He's got to go one or two, he's got to go at least 2 more sectors before he can hit that IS-2. The Scorpion is probably going to engage the enemy. Very risky. The T-26E4 does not have a shot. What the Scorpion G is doing is foolish. He should not have done it. He should have waited for all of us to advance. What he's doing now is he's forcing my hand. I have to rush in at this point, and I didn't want to, but I have to rush in because I have to, and I was able to get the kill, but I had to rush in because if the Scorpion fell, I wanted to rush in while that IS-2 was pointing his gun at the Scorpion. And if the IS-2 had killed the Scorpion and turned his gun towards me, I would have had about an 8 to 10 second reload time on his behalf for me to escape. And I would have repeated the method of spotting him, waiting for my allies to surround him. So what the Scorpion did was very foolish. If it wasn't for me, the Scorpion could easily have died. Okay, let's move on to the next video. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a Type 62. This is a Chinese Tier 7 light tank, and the map is Mountain Pass. Now, this is a light tank, and it's used for spotting, but this is a very difficult map to spot in. On the south side, there's 2 ways to spot. One is from this bush where I'm heading, and the other one is kind of like where that bush is over there. This one, you're going to spot more, but it's a little bit more dangerous, and people expect you to be here. You'll notice that I decided to take this one. I'm going to go as long as I think it's safe. If the enemy doesn't notice me, you see the artillery took a shot at me, then don't worry about it. You know, I didn't take any damage. Now, I see that there's a T-71 who's coming up the ridge over here because he thinks he's going to spot my allies over here. Maybe he doesn't have the spotting range. But what I did was I positioned myself. This is not the proper way to do it. Excuse me. You want to get your gun as high as possible. The proper way would be, because the turret is closer to the front of the tank, would be to go not reverse up the hill, but to go forward up the hill. The reason why I reversed up the hill is because I play the AMX 1390, which has a rear-mounted turret, and I'm used to doing it on the AMX 1390. But you really would want to go forward up the hill. It gives you the gun elevation to hit that T-71. If I had fired with the scope, I probably would have hit him. And if he had gone further up, I would easily have hit him. And it's a chance that I missed him because of an aim issue, not because I couldn't hit him. And he backed down, and he left. He can't do the technique of coming up that hill. Now I repositioned with my turret higher up on the hill. And I don't know if this is the best position. Maybe I should be a little bit closer to the T-71. But if he comes up that hill, I have a little bit better gun elevation than he expects me to have. So I'll be able to hit him if he goes above those rocks. And I knew that my positioning wasn't very good, which is why I'm repositioning to take him out. Now, my strategy on this map is to control this area. If the enemy abandons, if you go out and don't get spotted and the enemy abandons this area, then try to flank under the bridge and the enemy tanks on the ice road. I decided to go across. There's no enemies spotted on the ice road. If there were and they had advanced, I would have headed towards the ice road and flanked them. So now in this case, there could be tanks up on that mound. I could go to the south and flank those tanks, but if you do that, usually you're only going to get 1 or 2 shots in. Or I could go to the bridge. I decided to go to the bridge. no specific reason why. It's possible that I decided to go to the bridge to help out my allies because they hadn't spotted anything. You can see that it's just a Churchill. Surprise, there's an OI. The key to the OI, get as close to it as possible. Hit perpendicular to that armor so you decrease the chance of a ricochet. Get close to him. Getting close to him, he won't be able to shoot at me. Got 900 damage. These other tanks probably don't even know I'm here. But watch out if they turn around because I'm a weaker tank than that Churchill. These two tanks are now in a crossfire. And it's hard for me to visualize where those tanks are. So it was difficult for me to figure out, are they a threat or not? They were both a threat. So they were both a threat, and I wasn't fully aware of it. But now that I understand, you know, by looking at the minimap, they were definitely a threat. It was difficult to see them because of all the bushes. Score is 7-0. I got 4 kills already. My driver is injured. Unfortunately, I do not have the first aid kit on this tank. I mean, that's too bad. Okay, so that one bounced. If I had used a scope, maybe I would have not bounced. I don't know. I don't know what part of his tank it bounced off of. But unfortunately, that's the end for me. I did 1,500 damage. Score is 9-1. But I wanted to show you, when there's a... You control the center. Head for the ice road if the enemy crosses over to a point that you can hit them on the side armor. If they don't, and this upper part is empty, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Hesitating gives you no value in the game unless you're waiting for the enemy to charge at you, which means you're going to be on a losing team. So don't hesitate. Go out, scout out that territory. On the bridge, get behind the enemy tanks. It was a surprise that the OI was there. I don't know why his gun was pointed at me. Get the enemy in the crossfire. It greatly increases the chance that you take them out. I was able to get 4 kills in part because of the crossfire. They don't know which way to point their guns. They point their guns one way. The Churchill wasn't playing aggressive like I was. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. You know how to play. Play properly. Keep the gun firing as quickly as possible. Own as much territory as possible. Don't let the enemy own any territory, and that's a key to winning these games. You'll notice that no one has been spotted on the ice road, or they're dead. I don't know which is which, but I don't see anybody on the ice road in the north. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a T-49. This is an American Tier 9 light tank, and the map is El Halouf. This is going to be a game where I'm going to flank the enemy. This tank is great for hit and run. It's the best hit and run tank in the game. The second best, in my opinion, is the Cromwell with the derp gun. I don't know if it still has a derp gun, but it did at least at one time. So you notice I was spotted. This is not, I take my time now getting to the enemy side, but I used to go straight across. Now I find some bushes, and I gauge what it's like on the enemy side. They had some fast tanks go to the north. The T-55A is going to need some help with that AMX. I'm getting a lot of spotting damage, 1,100 spotting damage, and I'm not seeing enemy snipers. We have what looks like a T-54, but he's behind a slope, so if I go out, I'm safe. And the AMX-13 105, he was behind a hill. I would have been safe to go out. And he's also low on hit points. I might have to kill him. But like I said, you don't really see any snipers defending the enemy territory. Perhaps they all went to the north. I don't know. But it's very easy for me to go up here. You can go up on this side, or you can go around the other side. Lately, I've been also going around the other side, which would be basically the other side of that hill. You have to gauge where your snipers are, where you think the enemy is, where you think that you are safe. So obviously, I don't know if I'm going to get this kill or not. I've got 1,400 damage. But oh wow, that bounce! That's why you want to go for that side armor. You really want to try and hit them on the side or from behind. Even if it's an artillery, you want to get that advantage. You don't want to bounce any rounds with this type of a tank. Now, if I have to delay, I don't have allies in range, but I mean, come on, he turned his back on me. That was a big mistake for him. I don't know if I faked him out or not, but he should never have turned his tank like that. He made it easy. Okay, so I got 1,700 spotting damage, and I did 230 damage. So I obviously there's a tank behind me, so I'm going to go in to help my allies. You don't want to go against an SPG one-on-one. It's obviously better to get two-on-one, and since I'm here, I'm going to help out my allies, even if it's just to distract the enemy. I already got 2 kills. I am bottom tier. So now you're approaching these tanks. You're going to look for the weakest tank, which is a Skoda T50. Hit that side armor. Come around. Hit the side. I did 700 damage and just drove right in front of the Centurion, and he didn't do anything about it, probably because he wasn't reloaded or not paying attention. The Skoda is now dead. The Centurion, I could have gone around for the Centurion, which I should have done. I took the wrong path because of my long reload. I didn't think I would be reloaded in time, and I didn't want to come around not being reloaded. Get as close as possible. I hit that side armor. I should have gone for the rear armor. I got 1,800 spotting damage and 900 damage. Scores 8-0. So that was an easy win. They didn't defend their base very well, and the Skoda and the Centurion and the T-54, none of them were in good positions. None of them were in positions to do anything. And the AMX-13 105 went out without any support. That's what I hated as a scout, going out without any support. Coming around here, you got to be very careful. You never know who's going to kill you. It might be the end of the game for me. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, what happened was I ran through. I got 2,100 spotting damage, and I tried to squeeze behind that E-75, and he backed up, and there was not enough space, so he rammed me. I believe I died by ramming. So I should have obviously gone around the heavy tank. And I shouldn't have even come out this way. All those tanks, there were probably 4 of them, were all pointing their guns at me. It was a foolish move, and I should have hit the handbrake turn or taken a path. You got to be able to see them and be able to drive and be able to stop at the last minute if it's a dangerous move. It was a very high-risk, dangerous move. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go in and kill one of these Tier 10 tanks, you know, get them on the side, surprise them, and take off. But, you know, it didn't work out. But this shows you how easy it was to get to the enemy side. That's why I'm aggressive. There's so many people that camp base, sit back and hide, don't defend properly, and I take the chance that they're not defending properly, and I penetrate. If I see that they're defending, you fall back or you use a different strategy. But if they're not defending their base, go in immediately and you clean up really fast. And not only are those players that are camping base not defending, but they're probably not as good players, and which is why they're camping base. They're a little bit more timid, so they should be easier targets. Okay, so that's the game. Yeah, this is the M46 Patton, and the map is Erlenberg. This is a Tier 9 American medium tank. We're going to win this game. We're going to be ahead. I don't know what the final score was, but I remember it got up to 10-0. We're going to destroy the enemy team. I'm going to the... If you notice the way I'm driving, look at my ping time. It went up to 800. So I'm having an issue regarding ping times. Now it's up to 999. So I know that I'm not going to be able to play the way I normally play. So my goal right now is to just spot and not fire my gun, not engage the enemy. My allies are pretty far in the back. They didn't really come up into position. We're going to win on the east side because the east side, I don't know if it's lightly defended or what the situation is going to be. When I don't spot anything, I usually advance forward, hoping that they leave this flank undefended. It looks like we spotted 2 tanks, and I have not been spotted. However, that T-26E5 could easily spot me. And it looks like there's another Skoda T-50. From here, if you look at the yellow circle where the OHO is on the west side, the tanks tend to be up on that hill. You can see that I'm outside. They're outside of my sniping range. I'm probably outside of their sniping range. Because I'm having problems with the latency, I've got 1,600 spotting damage, I decided I was going to be as far away from the enemy as possible, and I would head towards the buildings. You don't want to have the open river on your left in this case, because you can get hit from where the OHO is. And I am having dropped packets, even though the latency is improved. Okay, so the T-26, he knows that I'm here. This is not the safest position to be in, and I'm playing a little bit sloppy. But you'll notice that my team has advanced on that side, so that tank is going to be out of the game really soon. I got 700 damage, 1,600 spotting damage. The Yag Tiger hit me from the other side. That Yag Tiger is going to commit suicide at the end of the game. Okay, so that's it. They only had perhaps 3 tanks on the east side, and we had a large portion of our team on the east side. So we cleared out the east side, and we're now advancing to the west side. This SPG, I talk about SPG positioning often. Big mistake. He never should have sat there. He should have left a long time ago. As soon as he saw that they were outnumbered or that the flank was falling, he should have left the flank. The score is 6-0. I'm always leading my team. I'm always on the front lines. You'll notice on the mini-map, I'm ahead of all of my allies on this flank. And you want to be in this position. You roll back for a defensive position. You roll forward into the bushes for spotting. They probably don't know exactly where I am because I've got bushes obscuring me. And then you stay close to the water, as close to the water as possible. It can be difficult. If you get stuck in the water, you might have to turn around and go back. And then head for these bushes over here. You'll spot what's in the backfield. The score is 7-0. You'll see the Yag Tiger is going for his suicide run. Now remember, the Yag Tiger ran into the water to suicide because the score is 8-0. When you do that, you get 0 crew EXP because the entire crew drowns. You'll see I can hit that FV. He probably doesn't know I'm here. The score is 10-0. Took that tank out of the game. That's 2 kills. I'm working on a mission to set an enemy tank on fire. It's now 11-1. I'm the type of person, I never give up. So what the Yag Tiger did, I never would have done something like that. The score is 12-1. If you want to get kills and damage and be a player that gets a lot of damage, you gotta hustle. When there's fewer enemy tanks in the game, you gotta hustle and chase after them. Got a 3rd kill, and that's a game 15-1. Now, when I talk about excuse me, when I talk about hustling, when there's only a few tanks left in the game, you might not know where they are. Don't wait for them to come to you. Go as fast as you can and search where you think they are, because you've got a lot of allies that you're competing for, and you can get kills. And by doing this, if you watch some of my 8-kill games, the reason why I was able to do it is because I hustled around the map, and I just went as fast as I could from one location to another location to another location, and you get more kills when you do that. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a Type 62. This is a Chinese Tier 7 light tank. The map is Westfield. This is also a premium tank. I'm going to get 2,600 spotting damage. Looks like I'm going to my normal spotting position. I do use the fuel or oil consumable to get a little bit of extra engine power, and the food consumable in order to increase my spotting range. There's a certain area that I go to level of bushes, don't worry about being surrounded by too many bushes. You're still going to spot, even if you've got all these bushes around you. But there's a gap on the mini-map where you see a little empty space. It's beyond the Cromwell. And I found that if I go beyond this spot, it's a very high risk that I take of getting spotted. So I usually avoid going further than where I am right now. Excuse me. And like I said, I do get a lot of spots from here. But it is a risky position because what's going to happen is you're going to get your spots. The enemy's going to get behind the hill. You're not going to be able to see them anymore. They're going to become unspotted. You got tanks like the Scorpion G who might get a little bit too close. So you have to have a plan for how to get out of here. My plan is to reverse, keep my strong frontal armor forward, and use the slope of the hill, or to head for the town and head for a building. I keep my gun trained on an enemy tank. I'd love to have one of those Panzer IVS's. I keep my gun trained on him, so if I do get spotted, I'm going to fire my gun and head for the buildings. The STRV could potentially spot me, but look what happened. The score is 6-1. Score is 6-1. We won up on the upper level. They're going to surround everyone. It's just a matter of cleaning up. You'll see that the SPG, the enemy SPG, is repositioning. And he left the base area, which is very smart for him to do. But he should have left sooner. This Panzer IVS, I believe, was in the next game that I played. It's a very rare tank, and the next game that I played, he was also in that game. So this is the spotting bush that I recommend from the south spawn on this map if you play on the lower level. In terms of this tank, I really don't like this tank very much. I love light tanks, but I don't like the T-62A and the T-55A and the Russian light tanks. I really don't like them. I don't like the maneuverability, and I believe it might be because of my high latency. I'm not sure, but I find them difficult to maneuver. You'll notice I'm also able to take some shots here without getting spotted. But notice that the enemy is mostly unspotted. It's not good for my team. And the score is now 7-6, so the enemy is catching up. And we don't want that. Actually, now it's 9-6. They need me to spot for them, even though the enemy is obviously going to be hiding as much as possible. They really need me to spot. As long as I'm racking up spotting damage, I'm going to stay right here. I'm up to 1,500 spotting damage. Yeah, definitely take that shot. The M41 Bulldog might expose me on the enemy team if he starts heading south. Obviously, I'm going to keep on shooting, hoping to do damage to that Scorpion. There is a spotted tank in the south. Spotted tanks have to have priority over unspotted tanks. So I'm going to take shots at this SPIC. He's obviously unaware at the situation he's in. Not a good position. Where you're a light tank, keep moving if you think a lot of tanks are shooting at you. Sitting still is always bad news for a light tank. This is a good position. This is a point where I could easily advance, kill the M41 Bulldog, go for the shooting ram. I have my full health. Let's see if I'm working on a mission. The Spot SPG mission, which I would not have been able to complete in this game. The reason why I'm heading south is because I want to snipe the M41 across the map. This way I won't get spotted and I can get that kill shot in. And the enemy team won't be able to snipe at me. Even if I get spotted, they're not going to be able to take shots at me. And the M41, if he goes for the buildings for cover, I'm going to be there looking for him. There he is, and now he's dead. So you want to get your frontal armor turned around. You don't want them to hit your rear armor. Head for safety, which is sloped terrain. It's probably safe for me to keep on climbing. Having that fuel oil consumable gives me extra power for going up those hills. We got one tank left in the game, and he is now out of the game. 2,600 spot damage, 1,300 damage, and a victory spin. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a T-54 lightweight. This is a Russian Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Westfield. It'll be a very interesting game. I'm going to take up a spotting position. It'll be a little bit boring. I'm going to try an aggressive maneuver, and it's really going to change the course of the game. What's going to happen is the enemy is not going to react properly, and it's going to cost them the game. This is a spotting bush where I usually come to. You can look at where it is on the mini-map. I don't have success going further than this location. Usually once I get to this point, I stop. If I go further, I usually get spotted. If you get spotted over here, you're going to take a ton of damage. The problem with spotting over here is that you're going to spot tanks. Maybe you'll get some damage. I haven't gotten any spotting damage. Okay, there's the first shot in. But it's difficult for your allies to hit these tanks, and once they get behind those hills over there, you won't be able to spot for your allies anymore. So it's a little bit boring, depending on how the game plays out. My team is hiding behind the hills, their team is hiding behind the hills, getting a little boring. Now look at the northwest. A tank just died, but look at how it's kind of equivalent. You know, they did just lose a tank, but other than that, they were equally matched in the north of Westfield. And they're equally matched in the south. But I hate, if you look at the chat, the other T-54 lightweight is saying the lightweight is a POS. I think it's a POS too, but there's a lot of people that like this tank. I happen to not like it. Very difficult to maneuver. That guy is probably going to, in fact, I think I'm going to kill that tank. If you look in the northwest, you see that the enemy is engaging. Okay, so I didn't kill that 1390, but I did get a shot at him. Now, from this point on, I decided to do something risky and run for the enemy base. And this is going to cause the end for the enemy team. They're going to screw up. What they're going to do is too many enemy tanks are going to chase after me. And they're going to kill me. But 6 enemy tanks are going to be shooting at me. And while that's happening, my team is going to mop up on them. And I am going to die. I'm going to die really soon. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't take up a proper position within the buildings. I should have been on the other side of that building. So the score is 6-2. But if you look in the northwest, the enemy totally gave up that flank. They only have one tank left there. And the AMX 5100, the Waffenträger is too far south. The T-34-3, the SPG, and an Indian Panzer all turned their guns toward me. It's a lot of tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 or 6 tanks turned their guns for the AMX 5120 also was shooting at me. So what happened is, by all of them focusing on me as one tank, turning their backs, my allies cleaned up in the north. They didn't support their team properly in the north. And this is my team on the east. And you'll notice that one tank on my team advanced. But the enemy is now against the red line in the corner. The score is 11-4. And it shows you what I was trying to do was I was just bored. And I was like, you know what, I'm bored. I'm not going to spot these tanks. Maybe if I make a run for their base, I'll go kill the SPG and then go up the hill and hit those enemy tanks from behind. But because they all came after me, because they knew I was heading that way, I was spotted, they overreacted. They didn't need 5 tanks to prevent me from killing the SPG. It was a dumb move. You know, they only should have had at most 2 tanks go after me, and it screwed up their game. Okay, let's move on to the next replay. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a T-49. This is an American Tier 9 light tank. The map is Westfield. This tank is great for hit and run. I don't have it properly equipped because I put some new crew members in, and this is not a tank that has good crew on it. There might be only 2 or 3 crew skills. My other light tanks, most of my tanks have 4 or 5 crew skills. Now I usually come to this area, often to this bush. It's very risky to go beyond this bush. I usually get spotted, and you get a lot of incoming fire if you go beyond this bush. So at this point I stop. And from the other direction around this point I also stop. Spotted a lot of tanks on my side. I don't know how many that is, 5 or 6 tanks. I'm going to get around 1,900 spotting damage. Now, 1,900 spotting damage is greater than the hit points of my tank. When you play a game, to be equal, you want to kill at least one enemy tank or do the equivalent damage of your hit points to another tank, or spot enough damage to kill an enemy tank, etc., in order to make the game worth it for you. You don't want to do less than that. So this game, I don't think it's going to be a killer game, but I am going to do spotting for my team. You can see that my team is advancing on the south, and the enemy is not advancing on the south. I got 500 spotting damage. I don't know why my team isn't hitting these tanks, if they're out of range or if they don't have a line on that Tiger, for example. We do have artillery in this game. And there's that Panther. Not so happy. So the Panther is doing something weird. Watch what the Panther's doing. There's a chance that that Panther might come looking for me, so I got to watch out for that Panther. He disappeared. He might show up where I am. The enemy needs help in the north, but they gave up that flank. And there's always a chance I could get spotted here. There I am. I got spotted. Don't know how. So I have to make a run. I am loaded. Head for the buildings. Take a shot at that WZ. I can do a lot more damage to him than he can do to me. And that was a ram, shoot and ram. 200 damage by ramming, and 718 with the gun. So obviously you have to reload, so you have to run and hide, keep as many buildings. The AMX looks like he might be thinking about coming after me. You should never go after a T-49. You see a T-49, you should run and hide. T-49 has a very powerful gun. I could kill him in one shot, depending on what ammo I have loaded. Now the Leo has not been spotted yet, so we got to watch out for that Leo. And you'll notice that I lined myself up so that the indicator for the incoming shot is through the building, which means he can't shoot at me again. Got bushes right here. Turn those binocs on. There's the Leo. If I go out in the open, anyone up on that slope is going to be able to shoot at me, so it's too risky. However, if I stay here on the ground, and I got all those trees between me and the Leo, he's not going to see me. Okay, so we're putting pressure on the enemy. The score is 7-5. I got 800 damage from that one shot, 1,800 spotting damage. I'm not in a good position. I don't know why I sat here so long. Maybe I was hoping to get that Leo, but I stayed here a little bit too long. And you really want to use the method of advancing from bush to bush or heading through the buildings. The enemy is a little bit scattered out there, but I don't think the enemy is very aggressive. I think they're hiding. I'm taking way too long. It's not proper playing style for me to spend this much time in this position. I'm not spotting for my team. Not able to shoot at anybody. You'll notice that the Leo, I can't get a lock on him, which means I can approach him. I can get closer to him up through that hill if I want to. Very dangerous what's going on over here. So from this position, not a good position. This is very dangerous gameplay. He fired his gun. You want to hit that side armor, and he's dead. But you know, that was a big risk. You want to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Go for that rear armor. So it was very poor playing style. Oh, look at that. Scores 9-12. My team just fell apart. I did 1,300 damage, 1,900 spotting damage. The reason why I showed this video is because I wanted to show you the spotting position. That's the best position that I found on this map, and I use it from both sides. And that just wasn't good gameplay for me. It was just horrible. To drive in between all those tanks and drive into group of enemy tanks like that, 4 tanks over there, just horrible. I didn't really spot from my team the second half. It wasn't good. So lesson learned.